Everyone hates influencers, and influencing as we know it is dying. So what does that mean for creators who still want to make it in this space? Well, if you watched my Influencing is Dying video, you'd know that the concept isn't actually going away. But the extreme distrust of influencers, a dislike for big corporations pushing us to buy in a time where it feels like nobody has money, and people feeling increasingly disconnected from influencers flexing lifestyles that feel extremely out of touch, unattainable, and in bad taste, is contributing to a very real shift in the scene. And I personally think and hope that this is a scenario where the cream of the crop will rise to the top. And I want to talk about how we can make sure that you're in that group. First and foremost, I do want to talk about why I don't think influencer marketing as a concept is going away. And it's because it's always existed in some shape or form. It is simply the idea of using an individual's influence, whether that is their image, the perception around them, the trust they have with the public, and using that to market something, to drive awareness, to get people to sign up for something, do something. When I was young, the most influential people were undeniably celebrities. They took on product spokesperson roles, they acted in commercials, they were being paid to wear certain brands and sometimes attend certain events. And today, while celebrities are still extremely influential, with social media, new figures have emerged that people follow because they might find them more relatable. We can connect to them on a different level. They might share some of our extremely niche interests. And as these people gain more of an audience, their influence grows. But now things have gotten a little messy. People don't trust influencers. It's oversaturated. They're out of touch. Yada, yada, yada. I'm not gonna rehash everything in this video. If you want my full breakdown, definitely go watch this video on my take on the state of the influencer economy. But what I do wanna do now is look to the comment section of that video, because people were not shy about airing all of the reasons they dislike influencers. And I think all of those comments actually give us a great starting point for figuring out how we as creators can succeed moving forward. I think I have 8 tips here, so let's do this. People are really quick to say that I don't trust influencers, I don't buy from influencers. If I see an influencer try to sell me something, I hit do not recommend or I just keep scrolling. But the thing is, a lot of these comments are from people who are actively consuming social media. They're watching YouTube videos, they're scrolling on TikTok. They're not saying that they hate social media. They're saying that they hate influencers. And I think I want to dedicate a whole video to this topic because, as I alluded to earlier, almost every creator with a presence online has the capacity to influence people. They have influence over their audience for the most part, unless people are just like hate watching somebody's stuff. So when people say that they don't buy from influencers, they don't trust influencers, they don't watch anything from influencers, they're really usually talking about a very specific stereotype. Somebody purely overhyping products, saying that they're obsessed with everything. That might sound familiar if you've seen this video. I do also think that there's some sexism built into this stereotype, but that's another conversation for another time. But overall, I would say for the most part, the general public doesn't think that every creator on the internet is an influencer, even if that creator is influencing and does brand deals to survive. They often will make exceptions for the creators that they like and find value in their content. You're one of the good ones. You're not like other influencers, as I've sometimes been told. And the lesson for success in this is that being an influencer is not enough. It's simply a descriptor that can apply to thousands of different job titles. I normally don't like to shy away from the word influencer because it's kind of the easiest way to explain how I make my money. And I think that most people who avoid it are simply just trying to distance themselves from like the ickiness of the word and all of the negative stereotypes. But influencer isn't actually like my job title, what I do day to day. And I don't think somebody can have a stable long-term career out of pursuing being an influencer. Because again, it's just the describing word. You need to have a thing that is more concrete. Are you a reviewer, a critic, an entertainer, a storyteller, a photographer, videographer, makeup artist, comedian, educator? And this is a call out to myself too. I've been thinking a lot about how the general term of lifestyle influencer, which everyone seems to want to be because you can just create whatever and not be put in a box, is not very sustainable. There are, of course, those rich influencers leading very lavish lifestyles, really making a living off of highlighting and living their best life. And for those select few, I see a lot of parallels to like the socialite of the early 2000s, which was for the elite. For the rest of us who want to create under the title of lifestyle influencer, you need to be showcasing a lifestyle that is specific enough for people to be able to follow along. Like, I think I was arguably much more interesting and definitely much more relatable when I was creating lifestyle content around balancing my 9-to-5 with my content creator passion project. So if you really want to cling to that lifestyle title, really ask yourself what lifestyle you're portraying. Is it the life of a parent? Somebody working in tech, somebody working towards fitness goals, the life of an athlete, a musician, a digital nomad. You need to pull back the curtain on something that either people don't see every day so that they will be curious and want to kind of understand and see how you as an individual live your life, or perhaps a lifestyle that a lot of people can relate to and can find comfort in as they journey alongside you. But either way, at the heart of all of that, it's that influencer is not enough on its own. And this ties nicely into the next point, which is that value-driven content will always be needed. People will always want to hear stories to be inspired, motivated, feel seen, understand other people's perspectives, and people will always be seeking out education and information. If you're focusing on any of those things as a creator, you're going to have a long career ahead. It's really funny because I've heard a lot of aspiring creators complain about the advice to add value. Like, some people get actually upset about it. Like, why can't I just come on and be me and like that be enough? And this comes back to, I think, people just wanting to be influencers for the sake of being influencers, like for no other reason. And I think people misunderstand value as being only educating. Like, you hear the advice all the time, provide value, provide value. And I think people just hear, okay, I have to teach people something. I have to say, here's X ways to do this. Here's 5 skincare tips. Here's 6 ways to grow your channel. But providing information, educating is not the only definition of value. I've said it before on this channel, but there is value in making people feel things, in entertaining them, in inspiring them, making them feel calm and peaceful. Having value just means having a purpose that will serve your audience. Like, what is your audience getting out of this? Giving them a reason to want to watch you versus saying, just here, look at me, here's the cool things I'm doing, here's all the products I love. And that brings me to number 3. We need to have humility. No one owes us anything. I've definitely talked about this before in some of my harsh truths for content creators, and I'm seeing a very strange pattern lately of people complaining about the audience, the consumers, for not engaging, for not watching, for not supporting. And I find that a little off-putting. The idea that we don't deserve anything, views, engagement, likes, just because we decided to come online and post content is a very hard pill for people to swallow. And this isn't personal because I don't deserve views just because either. When a video of mine flops, the first thing I do is check the packaging, the thumbnail, the title. Did it make people curious enough to want to give up 5 to 10 to 20 minutes of their sweet and precious time? And then next, when I did get them to click, did I make it worth their while? And the same thing goes on social media too, Instagram and TikTok. Yes, the experience is much more passive, but again, I don't deserve engagement just because I took the time to edit together an aesthetic reel. Yeah, I don't know. I just think a little bit of humility, thinking about how we can serve our audience, will really allow us to last in this space. Next up, I think we need to ensure we are building trust. So first and foremost, I think that means stop always selling products, selling services. Another through line in the comments is that people are just so sick and tired of being sold to. And if you come online and you are only promoting products, you're only selling to your audience, you're only sharing affiliate links, you're just consistently eroding at that sense of trust. People don't feel like you are creating content again to like benefit them or serve them. It feels as though you are doing it just to secure the bag. I don't think securing the bag is wrong, but there needs to be balance. So share balanced takes and reviews. Share the things you do like and don't like. Build out more context for how you truly feel about things, what works for your skin, what works for your hair, what works for your lifestyle, and what doesn't. Then people will have a better idea on whether or not your recommendations will work for them. I also think it's really important for us to be trying to do more long-term partnerships with fewer brands versus filling up our calendars with a bunch of one-off partnerships from a bunch of different brands, which makes us look a little flaky. Again, a bit of a self-call out there. Next, I think it's important to really build up your relatability and, I hate the buzzword, but your authenticity. Don't feel like you need to flex or spend money to highlight a lifestyle that you aren't even living. Don't be afraid to show your realities, your struggles, get vulnerable. I touched on this in the last video too, but as we grow as creators, we just naturally get more opportunities, we get sent more products, we get access to more things that increasingly make us more and more unrelatable. And I think this is especially problematic for people who, again, really wanted to solidify themselves in the lifestyle influencer space, where they connected with people by sharing their lifestyle. And maybe that lifestyle was like really relatable at the beginning, but then as their lifestyle changes, they want people to come along for the ride, but they're moving further and further away from the reason people followed them in the first place. But on the topic of relatability, I think people too often look to like external factors when there's just so much that humans can relate to each other on a deeper psychological, emotional level. Those feelings of comparison, unfulfillment, jealousy, falling short of your goals, making friends, family dynamics. I don't know. Don't necessarily air all your dirty laundry out on the internet. There's just a lot of different ways to relate to others, and I think a lot of it just comes down to being open and sharing your own story. Because the thing is, there are a lot of creators out there living lavish lifestyles or luxury lifestyles that people do still relate to and who people still say are authentic. I think Jackie Aina is actually a perfect example of that. We have seen her through her entire journey, and now that she gets to live a life with all of those luxuries, we're rooting for her because she's still being authentic to her values and how she shows up online. And I think she's also being extremely authentic in how she's unapologetic about the fact that she worked for what she has now. And while yes, I think that could still very well turn some people off, I think tons and tons of people actually find it inspiring. Now, moving a little bit in another direction, AI has been brought up as the potential killer of influencers. And I personally don't think it's as big of a threat as people think. It will potentially impact and replace people making low quality, low effort, low connection videos, but people still crave and trust human connection. And YouTube is rolling out requirements for people to disclose AI generated content. And I think that when people start to see the disclosure pop up, they are going to begin to be conditioned to have their guard up the same way they now do when they see the paid partnerships or sponsored disclosure. That being said, to stand out and last against AI, focus on embedding your content with your own story. If your content could have been generated by AI, you should probably brush up on your writing skills. I think this is especially the case if you are an educational channel. Now more than ever, you should be leaning on your personal anecdotes and tangible examples and proof from your own life. And finally, I want to end on something that I say over and over again. Diversify your platforms and your income. Don't get me wrong, there are a lot of pros to narrowing your focus on one platform and one income source. Namely, that you can excel a lot quicker and become a master of one thing versus being mediocre at a bunch. But that comes at the cost of putting all of your eggs in one basket and also seeming a bit like a one-trick pony versus a holistic business owner. A lot of people are really surprised to hear that I am a full-time influencer with only like 17,000 followers on Instagram, or that I quit my day job with about, I think like 12,000. But that's because I also had a Pinterest account with, I think like 20,000, a blog with thousands of monthly viewers, a TikTok with a couple thousand, a Twitter with a couple thousand, altogether building out this very diverse audience for my business. Brands right now are still putting a lot of money into digital marketing, but as the platforms spread, their dollars are spreading too. And I think it just sets ourselves up for success to be able to meet them and provide content for them at every single point. And on the topic of diversifying your income, that is absolutely, I think, my biggest goal moving forward. It's not wise to be 100% reliant on brand deals. As creators, there are so many monetization options at our disposal. And if we want to make a long-term career out of this thing, we need to start tapping into them. So if you want to talk diverse income streams, definitely watch this video next. Or if you want to learn more about taking content creation seriously, check out my no BS list of tips here. Thanks for watching, and until next time.